I'm going to show you the truth about fasting. From everything I have learned about fasting through my own experience in trying it. Because I was given some advice from others, including Hamza Ahmed, who is a self-improvement YouTuber with 2 million subscribers. And he suggested that you start fasting. And I wanted to fact check this and see if this information was valid. And so I tested it myself. I joined my school's cross-country team. And I fared pretty well. I'm pretty good at cross-country. But I made a fatal mistake that brought my time from something like really good to like 10 minutes from what I could do. I brought my time from possibly a 28 minute to a 38 minute. And this came from my big mistake. Fasting before the race. At the time, I didn't know this. And I thought fasting would help. It would keep my stomach empty. And it keep it I would be able to focus fully on the race. And my stomach wouldn't be stuffed. And so I thought, hey, I'm not going to eat anything. And I did eat something. I had a banana, but that was it. And so when it came down to the race, as soon as it started, as soon as my 6K started, my stomach was killing me. My stomach was killing me, and all throughout the race, my brain was just, stop, take a break, just give up. I didn't give up, I kept going. But my stomach still hurt so much, and I couldn't keep up with my friends. Even though I had the muscles to do it, I have the skill to do it. I have the body to do it. But I didn't have the energy to do it. Because I fasted. And this really dragged me down. And this is what really made me realize that Hamza's advice might not be right 100% of the time. Nobody's advice is, especially if it's free advice, none of it is right 100% of the time. It's all just opinion. And I found this out the hard way. Instead of doing my research, I found this out the hard way by trying it, and my race was completely screwed. Now, luckily, this wasn't a big race. It was like a practice race, pretty much a practice race. And I still finished the race, and I'm going into another race, so I'm going to be fine. As long as I eat. And so, if I eat, I'm going to have the energy to run in the future. And so what I learned from this was maybe it's not good to fast all the time. Especially if you're exercising. Alright? If you're going to take one actionable step from this, it's going to be later in the video, but this is a pretty useful actionable step. Don't fast before you exercise. Seriously, don't do it. Now, of course, fasting isn't the focus of my life, and it's not, I don't exercise all the time. Sometimes I'm working, okay? What Hamza suggests is when you are working, when you're trying to be productive, you fast. Like in the morning, as soon as you wake up, you just fast and do all your work. Now, in this case, it could work. However, I found a lot of sources that say this doesn't work. And online, I'll put them in the description. I found a lot of sources online that say this doesn't work. And it doesn't matter if you do this. And in fact, I actually think it doesn't. It actually does the opposite. There's another video. It's experiment, the starvation experiment from the University of Minnesota, which basically took this group of people and then they starved them. Basically, it was for World War I or II. I think it was around World War, it was World War. All right, it was during World War, and the experiment was to see, it was basically just to test the effects of starvation on the mind, and they tested this, and the participants who participated in the experiment, they started out pretty well. All right, not much happened. When their diets went from here to here, they got a little bit skinnier, but they were pretty much fine. But as they did this for 6 months, the first few months, not bad. But as they got to the next few months, things started to get crazy. They started to obsess over food. Obsess. Obsession is bad in everything. You cannot obsess over anything. Because if you obsess, you lose freedom. And freedom is important to happiness. It's one key element of happiness. It's not the only thing to happiness. There are tons of other factors that create happiness, especially according to the book Millionaire Fastlane, or The Millionaire Fastlane. It's not you have to have some freedom, and being obsessed over something locks you in and traps you in this obsession over this thing you're obsessing over. And it's so terrible. And I done this myself. When I fasted, alright, I fasted the whole day, and it was like I was waiting till supper time before I ate. And usually I have a couple hours to work before I eat, and this whole time I was just thinking about food. I was just thinking, maybe should I go get food? Maybe I shouldn't. I really want food. And I was just so hungry, I couldn't get food off my mind. And I was thus unable to focus on my work. And so this is a terrible idea. At least from my perspective, fasting is not a good idea. However, it does have its pros. It's a great disciplinary exercise, and it's a great exercise for controlling your desires. Now, let's say you're fasting from lunch to supper, alright? No snacks. That's pretty much what you're doing. Instead of getting tiny snacks here and there, you just go no snacks from breakfast to lunch or from lunch to supper. That's fine. That's fine, because you're still getting the calories you need to survive, and you're not starving yourself, and you're still going to be full, and you're going to be happy. And you're definitely not going to be obsessing over food, because you have enough food to keep you from obsessing over it. Now, what Hamza says is digestion. Digestion stops you from focusing, and I believe that's true. If you're digesting something, it's going to, because digesting food, it takes a lot of energy from your body. And so it's harder to focus. Now, what Hamza's suggestion is from morning to brunch, you should fast. And I think this is a great idea, especially if you're using his other productivity technique called eating the frog, where you just do the hardest thing right in the morning. And these two work together, because then you have nothing in your stomach and you can just do the work and just focus on the work without anything getting in your mind and distracting you. But if you fast for too long, you start to obsess over food, and it gets in your head, and you can't focus. And so we can't let these desires control us. And I think this is a really good disciplinary exercise. Not to mention it's really good for starting your day off with full focus. But doing it for too long definitely isn't a benefit. Alright, doing a fast for a full day, I definitely don't think is a good idea, especially for the long term. And especially if you're like me and you're still growing, it's very bad for the long term. And so, as your actionable step, alright, honestly, I don't agree with fasting. I don't think I'm going to do fasting. But as your actionable step, try it. Honestly, try it. I know I just spit a bunch of stuff at you saying fasting is bad, but give it a shot. You might like it. Alright? And definitely don't do what I did. Don't fast before a big race. Alright? That completely doesn't work. And that's because you need energy from food to fuel you for a race. And if you fast before a race, you're not going to have the energy for a race. And not just a race, but for any sport. You have to eat. And don't eat like right before the sport either, because then you're gonna be bloated during like the race or during your match. Then you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable and your stomach's just, you have to time it. It's a lot of timing. Now there are tons of other things you can do like carb loading, but try fasting. All right? I can tell you whatever I want, but you have to try it for yourself to really build your own opinion. I don't recommend it. I don't recommend you do this for the long term. But try it. And honestly, it's kind of fun to do, like maybe like a couple times per year. It's fine to do, but don't do it every single day. This shouldn't be a lifestyle. I think it's better to as a occasional thing to detox yourself. But fast from junk food, all right? All right? Again, as your actionable step, try fasting. All right? And don't make my big mistake. You got this, bro.